From plastic bags in the city of Charleston to the low battery to public transportation to hate crimes, I sit down exclusively with City of Charleston Councilman Mike Seekings for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Councilman Mike Seekings, it is so good to see you again.
Been a while. How's everything?
Oh, great. And the question is, how are you?
Everything is good. I watched like you did from the sidelines through the selection cycle. So, interesting times in the Low Country.
Wow, you talk about the Low Country. I have to talk to you about the popular hop shuttle. How's that doing in your mind?
So the hop shuttle has really been a very good thing for us here in the Low Country and in Charleston. We weren't really sure what to expect when we provided transportation on the peninsula 21 hours a day for the hospitality industry. First day of operation, we had 12 riders. I looked this week, we're averaging over 500 riders a day. So the hop has shown us that there is a demand, a need in this community for park and ride, and that people will use it if you make it safe, convenient, and so far so good. We'll see how it all goes.
What is the state of public transportation right now?
So I think one of the things I would say about public transportation in this part of the country in particular is it's on people's collective consciousness. People are actually thinking about public transportation, recognizing that with the traffic and transportation woes we have right now, you can't pave your way out of those problems. So alternatives to transportation are popular. We've got Low Country Rapid Transit, which is a 23-mile dedicated lane from Somerville to downtown in the works. So the status of it is we're thinking about it, we're doing some things about it, and it's getting a heck of a lot better than it has ever been.
And you talk about public transportation and the hop shuttle. Let me take you down the street to the Battery.
Right.
Obviously, Hurricane Michael did some damage to it. Where are we with that as far as numbers?
You know, it's kind of crazy. Hurricane Michael really skirted us. Mercifully, other people really did get hit by it. But one of the things that happened in the harbor, I don't know if you were there that day, is we had large waves that came straight at the peninsula on the harbor, and they hit the Battery seawall hard. The day after, we went and did a reconnaissance of the wall, and I will tell you, it got as hit as hard as any storm we've had in the last 10 years, certainly in the last 3 years. The Battery is in disrepair. It's 0.8 of a mile along the most iconic spot, one of the most iconic cities in the country. It needs to be repaired. We're really behind on it. We are in the process of design. We've got some funding for it. You'll see a repair project start next year. It's going to be a long and involved process, but we've got to do it. It's well beyond time. That wall is in disrepair on its best day and probably failing on its worst day.
Let me talk to you about the plastic bag ban.
Right.
Obviously, City Council approved the first reading of it, and I know there were some mixed reviews on Council. You actually said this too. You said this. There's too many laws, and you also said this quote: "No earthly idea what they hand out at grocery stores." You also told the audience at the City Council to lobby the State House about their preemption law. You said this quote: "Be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it."
Well, so, it's very easy when you sit in the chambers of any governing body to put laws on the books. And we have a lot of laws on the books, both in Charleston and the county,
Sure.
and the state, federal government. And I'm a fan of going through and sort of repealing laws that aren't effective, we don't use, are antiquated, are inappropriate. And we've got plenty of those. Now, that being said, there are times when people who are governed ask us to govern them, and they want some laws on the books. And it was very clear to me the other night in City Council chambers that the plastic bag ban, and it's not really a ban, it's a moderation. The plastic ban moderation is something that our community wants in overwhelming numbers. Now, given the fact that they've asked for it, it's not illegal, it's not immoral, it's something that is to the benefit of our community, we have to make sure we do it the right way. So the debate we had the other night, which I thought was a very interesting debate, went on for almost a couple hours. Really pointed up some of the challenges that we have to making sure we're fair to everybody across the board, that it's equitable, that we don't step on anybody's toes, that we don't make it impossible for people to do business. I don't think any of those things are built into this ordinance, but we need to make sure that the final ordinance, and we're not there yet, the final ordinance is what people are asking for, is not overreaching, and will achieve the goal of really cleaning up our environment, which is so important in a coastal environment. And all that plastic and plastic bags that you see in our marshes and our waterways, on our streets, it has become an issue, and I think tackling that issue is the right thing to do, and our communities ask for it.
And another issue you all are tackling is the hate crime law. I know
that's a no-brainer. I mean, if you're committing crime, shame on you. If you're committing crime with hate in your heart, double shame on you, and essentially that's what we've done. We've made it a second penalty if hate is the reason for the actions that you take. South Carolina at the state level doesn't have a hate crimes legislation. So sending a message from Charleston. Charleston needs to be a leader in many things, and if we need to be a leader to tell our leaders in Columbia that hate crimes legislation is something that South Carolina needs and wants, I'm happy to be part of that. It was the right thing to do.
And
sure.
and I know for certain, I hope I'm correct, but you and Gregory and the mayor went to the Netherlands.
We were in the Netherlands, yes. We spent 6 days in the Netherlands. Dudley and I were there for 6. The mayor was there, I think, for 3 or 4. And we spent our entire time there with engineers from the Netherlands looking at the solutions that they have devised over the course of centuries to combating water and the effects of water on living conditions. And it was absolutely fascinating. We got an insider's view. They didn't hold back on anything. They showed us sort of what they're thinking, how they do it. We came away with a lot of good thoughts, one of which is, if you've got issues out there, particularly when it comes to water and the negative effects of water on a community, you have to collectively approach them, you have to come up with a solution, then you have to pursue it, and they give us some great ideas for sure.
What more ideas do you have about flooding?
Well, one of the things that I think that people need to know about flooding is that we're not going to stop water in our community from being part of our daily lives. We have to learn to live with water. And as the Dutch say, and it's a little bit of a trite saying, as we're living with water, we want to keep our feet dry, meaning we want water to be where we want it, not where we don't want it. Okay. So it's management of water. And my thoughts are that we can manage water. It takes a huge community commitment. And one of the things that is clear is, when you're sitting here that you're in the city of Charleston. If you get on the bus and you go up north across the border, you go to North Charleston. When you're leaving the state of South Carolina. We know where we are geopolitically. Water doesn't. Water crosses geopolitical boundaries, so we need to take a regional approach to water solutions. So it can't just be the city of Charleston, it can't just be the county, it can't just be the city of North Charleston. We need to work collectively to identify what the issue is, identify what the solution is, and then come up with the solution in a way that is comprehensive, goes across geopolitical lines, and addresses the problem. And I think that's a huge challenge for us going forward. There's lots of governments in Charleston County, so we need to start working together, and water's a perfect place for us to do it.
What more problems do you want to tackle on Charleston City Council?
Well, as I've told you before, my priorities on Charleston City Council are, one, first and foremost, to make sure we're safe, public safety, and then from there, transportation and infrastructure when it comes to water and flooding. And then, just making sure that we manage our community in a way that zoning is appropriate to keep what we are and who we are as a place that you want to live. So, those are sort of the issues that that I've got myself in the middle of. Chairman of CARTA,
right.
Very much involved in the water issue. I'm glad I went over to the Netherlands. Those are the big, large-scale issues that we've got going forward. And zoning, because one of the things that zoning is going to have to tackle is density, and not density as a negative, density as a positive, because the only way we're ever going to get affordability in anything, and particularly housing, which we don't have, is to have areas of density so that we can have tiered pricing structures, and we have pricing structures that people actually work on the peninsula, they can afford to live on the peninsula, which right now, if you're just barely out there making a living wage, you can't afford to live not just on the peninsula, but anywhere near the peninsula. So that's a challenge for us. And good news is we're all collectively looking at it, thinking about it, working hard on it, and we'll be here every day continuing until we find some solutions.
Councilman Mike Seekings, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you, Quintin. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Yes, sir.